Dear viewers, you are highly welcome to another edition of Pivotal Issues on CMTV here in Boya, Southwest region of Cameroon. I want to thank you for sitting there waiting for the program, especially those of you who are watching on social media and those of you who are watching abroad who want to say we are with you and you'll be part of this panel today, given that we'll have three gentlemen also who are going to analyze things here. First of all, I want to welcome for the very first time here, but not the first time to be an analyst in Cameroon. I want to welcome a legal practitioner in our midst, Sir S.K. Kufo. You're highly welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moambo Williams, for giving me the opportunity to be here once more to talk issues that are burning in the nation and to see how our own contribution and our own words can add to the other voices to bring a change to our beloved country. I am grateful.
Yes, the next person I'll introduce here is Dr. Busi Enes, who has always been part of this program. Sir, you're highly welcome.
Yes, I'm humbled to be here, Mr. Mambo Williams, and I think that we have been deliberating on critical issues that can help shape our country. We are here to inform, we are not to deform. So, Mr. Mambo, a lot of issues are happening in Africa. We can see the issue in Tanzania today, where Parliament heard the other day in Tanzania, and then they wanted to extend the mandate of the President of Tanzania, Magufuli, and the President said no, he will rule Tanzania just for 2 mandates, that when his mandate finishes, he will keep the position of the President to another person. That's democracy we are talking, and I feel that democracy should be respected in all African countries. That's the rule of law, because last time we were talking on Josh issues in America, where Africans are migrating to America and so on. I think that if there's good democracy in Africa, we'll stay in Africa and we'll be Africa and we'll be happy together and we'll build our nations to Cameroon.
Yes, as far as George's situation is concerned, we hear another black man was also killed by
the police.
By the policeman.
Yes.
And we'll start wondering what is really happening in the United States of America, when we always think that it's only Africa that has such situations. And next, I want to introduce a very vibrant politician, somebody who talks with all aura, Mr. Njomosiri. Thank you for coming again today.
Thanks for having me. We were taken abreast by the press that was told with the sack of ex-president of Catholic University, Reverend Father Kenze, and it is a news that is all around, and I'll be happy to chip my own comment on it today. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to share this panel. Permit me also greet all those who are behind the cameras, which is a team of more than 10 that are working so hard so that you can have the beautiful sound and colors you are enjoying back home. I also want to call on the thousands of televiewers that are growing in their numbers as days goes by, that they should please send their own text message. We would like to know their feeling, to know their own contribution, the way they feel about the panelists and the various topics, how it's been handled out here. Thanks for having me again, Mr. Man.
Yes, and we also hear, I know you're a lover of music. The death of, so many musicians have been, let me say, kicking the buckets. And recently, our Mama Ngea, who has been an icon in Cameroon music. I don't know your take on that.
Mama Ngea, there has been a lot of controversy taken from another panel who said social media today is killing people multiple times. She's one of those who have suffered from the hate speech of death. She has been declared dead so many times on social media till finally, even lately when CMTV break the news, so many people did not believe. But actually, with authority, I can say here that Mama Ngea is no more. She, July 2nd was to make her, July 6th was to make her 60 years. So at least dying at 60 is not really bad. Within the week, we equally had another renowned Cameroonian artist, Ndam. Ndam also is somebody who has sung beautiful melodies. Some were used for jingle in the national station. So it's not unfortunate that they are dying at a point when the rights, the due right that is supposed to be benefited by artists and other people who produce products of the mind is not well established. The Jacobine government keep feeding fat on their resources, and it's rather so sad to notice that.
Dear viewers, without waste of time, I think we shall just be getting to another introductory topic here. We shall just talk about it for a few minutes, which is the Samuel Wazizi saga. We get it that the United States of America has decided to assist, to aid the lawyers who are going to follow up the death or the problems surrounding Samuel Wazizi, one of our journalists in the house. Let me begin with you, Dr. Busi Ernest. You know, getting that the United States is getting interested in this matter and will assist the lawyers and other people to make sure that justice prevails. What's your take about that?
I think that is a good initiative by the United Nations, the United States of America to engage in this. But I want to say that the United States as the greatest power on earth, one of the bodies of the United Nations organization, I want to say that they have been so slow when it concerns African issues. And the truth is that the United Nations is a country that everybody respects. But on recent days, when the Anglophone crisis started and people were dying, the US Senates were talking, but I can say that the US for now is a toothless bulldog. And looking at issue of diplomacy, they are too slow. When Thibault Nagy even came here, we thought that the Anglophone crisis will be solved. Up to today, houses are being set ablaze, people are still dying in Morocco and other places. So I want to say that the US, the United States of America for now is a toothless bulldog, but I think that it's a very good initiative for the United States of America, the ambassador to engage for justice, because I think that Wazizi's case is a special case that needs justice, because we feel that he was taken from he was taken in Buea and transferred to Yaoundé without due course of law. There was no mitigation of the law, and I think that there was no litigation of the law, and it was not seen in court. And I think that this issue is very important. If they want to bring out justice, it will be good. But I feel that if they want justice, the United States of America has to be serious about it and has to take it very serious, because the Cameroon government, looking at the diplomatic relationship between the US, is a very gradual process, and he has been going there. It's not the first time that the US ambassador is going to the presidency, and I think that issues of diplomacy is very difficult for us to understand, and it will be very difficult for the United States of America to put the Cameroon government to tax. We know of many incidents that have occurred in Cameroon, and the United States of America has been very slow. And I think that the Anglophone crisis is even bigger than the issue of Wazizi, and justice has not taken place. But if justice takes place in the case of Wazizi, it will be nice, but I think that the US for now is still a toothless bulldog.
Let me come to a legal practitioner. Say, Kufo, you are a legal practitioner, and Cameroon is a state of law. Do you see, because he said he doesn't see the US prevailing in their efforts, what do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mwambo Williams. I want to follow the same strength of argument like my learned friend, Dr. Busi Ernest. I want to say that the earlier we Africans, Cameroonians, get to understand that our destinies are in our hands, and they are not in the hands of any person, being from a far continent or from the Western world. We must be authors of our solution. I want to be candid that I've been avoiding interviews from journalists in the observance of the Wazizi issue, holding maybe to my own political reasons. And being today in the house of late Wazizi, I want to say it is a privilege that I'm in CMTV, and the first place I'm talking about Wazizi. I want us to look at it that no person in the rightful senses will support extrajudicial killing. So extrajudicial killing is one of the things me as a young politician branded under the canopy of the strength of the youth movement, which I'm the leader of that movement. We believe that the youth are the backbone of this country. They are the majority in this country and should be within all the fractions that make the body of this country in decision making and in policy making. When we get the US that they are coming in to facilitate lawyers in order to seek justice, me, I see it as a mere mockery of justice in the international stage. Like what my learned friend Dr. Ernest Busi said, we have been facing a crisis for quite a long period of time. That the death of Wazizi is not much more than the death of many other young Anglophone Cameroonians who have perished with nowhere to be traced or whatever thing happened to them. The UN have been coming time without number to make statements. Going to the presidency, we don't see the effect of all those visits. Like he quoted that they have become a toothless bulldog, which is an assertion of which I will tie with. That at this moment I want to say that we 3 Cameroonians have the upper hands. 90%. They say before your neighbor comes in to give you assistance, you should first of all be doing something.
Yes.
So it is time we all must call up to the government to denounce extrajudicial killing. In one of my write-ups, I once put it that even a terrorist deserves a trial. If someone has to be executed, it should be within the amples of the law. The person should be taken to court, tried, found guilty, and sentenced, and whatever thing follow. You know, there was the chance for the person to prove his innocence. So I want to say that we all must stand against extrajudicial killing. So if they are coming in to denounce extrajudicial killing, it's an open door. We cannot deny a handly friendship from somebody who is coming to push something that is going to be beneficial to the community and to the world at large. But as much as my stand, we Cameroonians have the greater role to play than waiting for a kind of God-seeking kingdom which by itself is not well standing in the international eyes and internal policies to come and save us from our own quagmires.
Mr. Anjomosiri, he said the doors are open, Cameroon doors are open for the US to come in. Is the US being proactive or reactive in this kind of situation? Should they be coming after the death of somebody? Is there anything to make news about that?
Listen, Mambo Williams,
Yeah.
in as much as the US now plays the role of the world's gendarme when it comes to human rights issue, it should be said that US has its own cup of tea to manage back home. So it's not all the time that we should expect the US to make comments on things relating to human rights in the African continent. But once I've said that, the moment you sent us the topic to review, I went straight to the communique signed by Henry Badevin, the US ambassador to Cameroon, where he was addressing Barrister Mr. Ewule and Mr. Ajiekah Emmanuel, with the opposing fraction, which is supposed to be the state, the government of Cameroon. And so there are 2 basic things he settled on. The first of them was the circumstances that surrounded the death of late Wazizi Samuel while he was under detention. And secondly was the commitment of Mr. Bia to the French ambassador when he visited, and he made commitment that he was to follow up. So those are the 2 underlining terms that the US ambassador came out pointing out. Then he went further to emphasize on the role that ministers in the court of justice, in this case lawyers, are supposed to be playing as far as human rights issues are concerned. With a country with 37 years of dictatorship, it is but normal that emphasis like that is much more welcome and is even primordial. This impetus gave Barrister Ajiekah and Ewule volume on their voice. I overfollowed them over one of your sister media that by publicity I don't want to mention those names. They came out very powerful, made some serious revelation concerning the reaction of all the arms of the government, especially at the Fako High Court. And it's important that we revisit those moments. The two habeas corpus that was filed, according to Senior Barrister Kia, he did mention that the first habeas corpus that was filed in respected all the norms that has been used for previous habeas corpus in the Fako High Court. He cited the case of the Anglophone lawyers when they were being arrested by the Bia regime, in short, when they were whipped on street and their whips seized. So he cited those cases and pointed out that in terms of the form and the structure of the habeas corpus, there was no problem with it. Okay. But the Fako High Court turned down the application. Then he went for that. I will jump other processes because we don't have time. He went for that to say that when the first response, because they asked that they should be served the suspect either alive or dead. So when they first respond, the government first of all was reluctant, the court was reluctant to respond to that application. But when the first response came in, they did not want the State Council to be aware of the issue. First of all, it was not received in any plenary session, and secondly, when I might not master those justice there, yes. But when one of the big man in the court granted an audience in the presence of the Commonwealth President journalist in Cameroon, who was also investigating. There are cases that date from April 7. He says that is where they started suspecting that the government was hiding this issue, surely because Wazizi was already there. Now, why was it important for me to revisit all this moment? Because the outing of the U.S. ambassador, who was relating the voice of the Association of Lawyers in the U.S., was a form of boosted the energy of those who are already working in the case. I don't know whether you understand.
Yes.
So even if it was to be limited at that point, it helped that more truth, more light should be shed on the issue. And I want to re-emphasize here that the case of Wazizi is more of a human right abuse case than a freedom of expression. For me, I always want to point that way. And when you follow the letter of Henry Berevin, he focused more on the human right aspect, that somebody cannot be detained for that long. And when they caught, despite all the efforts of the lawyers to bring light into the issue, the government watered their profession as if they were charlatans seeking for justice, and that is not fair.
Okay, I just want you maybe in 1 minute and Sekufo in 30 seconds. You should conclude on this. You are a psychologist, and you always say life is sacrosanct. You know, I want you to also come into this. Is the US being proactive or reactive now that Wazizi is already dead? That's when they want to come powerfully. And secondly, looking that they have a log, US has a log in the eye, they want to remove the peg in the eye of Cameroon. How do you look at it?
Psychologically, I think that the US is just playing its role because the US has diplomatic relations with Cameroon. But I feel that there are still critical issues in this country where many families have lost their lives, whereby the US was supposed to engage in the negotiation table, reinforce and put the government into task so that we sit on a dialogue table and solve the Anglophone problem. But with the UN engaging into the Wazizi case, I think that's a positive issue. But at the end of the day, what will happen? Psychologically, they're just playing on the mind of the people, because We want justice, immediate justice, and I think that the US is just playing a diplomatic game that at the end of the day will not get any justice. We know of cases that has happened in this country, even the Ngabu incident, where some of the military people were taken behind bars. So we feel that there are critical issues. If the US claims to be the world superpower, there are critical issues that they need to address. They need to put the government to task. We sit together. The US act as a negotiator in the process of dialogue, so that we sit and solve our own problem, because the case of Wazizi is just a unique case. There are other cases that other journalists are still in prison. As we are talking, there are other journalists who are battling with their lives in prison. So I think that the US need to be more reinforcing with the justice system of this country as a third party that is coming in diplomatically to solve the problem. Psychologically, I think that the US is giving a go-ahead for the government to look for solutions too, because I feel that the government, the president of the republic also said when the French ambassador came that this case will be investigated. If the US also is putting its own mouth, I feel that something can come out of it. But I think that the US playing its role, they see some delay tactics, Mr. Mwambo Williams.
Well, when they are unable to solve their own problem. Okay, in 30 seconds, you are a legal practitioner. Do you see at the end justice in the court of justice or injustice in the court of justice?
So, Mwambo, your question is a kind of tricky one. But first of all, I just want to comment that the US is a great actor in the international stage of drama.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what they are doing. They are just saving their own face internationally that they have to.
I love that statement.
I want to say that Cameroon is a sovereign state.
Yeah.
And for that degree of sovereignty, they can only tell. We Cameroonians must change things. We Cameroonians must fight for things too. We want to say that the justice system in Cameroon have been highly compromised by the executive power. So for justice to actually take its course, we want to say all the different fractions in the society, ranging from the NGOs, human rights groups, advocates, journalists. We want to say, to me, I want to acknowledge that it's a great step that is being taken, because those are the kind of steps that need to be pushed in a regime that has struggled to block all relevant and reasonable doors that can make justice to prevail. It is high time people come to understand that justice is every person's asset. Justice is not for a particular person. It is time we shift away from the definition of justice like a spider web, that when light things fall on it, it squeezes it, and when heavy things fall on it, it cuts it. It is high time we come to denounce the two kinds of justice that is made in a country, that there is a justice system for the privileged and there's a justice system for the less privileged. It is time we Cameroonians must push forward to make sure that there are no difference between a less privileged and a privileged Cameroonian. So this fight is for Cameroonians to push to see that the spirit of egalitarianism reigns in the nation. If that comes to pass, they want to say justice might be seek, and if justice is seek, it will be found.
Let me just add
yes,
what I think that Kufo have said something here very important. We need an egalitarian society where there's equity.
Okay.
So the issue of justice is not forthcoming because we don't have the problem of equity, because we can only have justice when there's fairness in our court system. And I think that our courts, which falls under the judiciary, are not playing their independent role. It's high time the separation of power, where the executive plays their role, the judiciary plays their role, and the legislature plays their role. And if they play their role, that's when we can start talking of good governance, and cases like Wazizi's case and other cases can be seen in the court of law, because Wazizi's case was not seen in the court of law. And I think that it's high time when lawyers bring their clients to court, when they are advocating for their clients in court, it is high time also that the judicial system should be open, so that they are able to see their client, discuss pertinent issues of what happened, so that mitigation and litigation can take on, because our justice system is very poor in Cameroon. And I think that if we continue like this, we are saying that our institutions are not strong. Because our institutions are not strong, that's why our justice system is not independent. When you look at ENAM, I earlier said here that ENAM is a school of administration and magistracy. When you are trained into ENAM and you want to follow by the executive, you are not being just, you are not being fair to the country. But I think that justice systems is a law system. Go to Nigeria, other schools. Lawyers have become magistrates. You must not go to ENAM to become a magistrate. When you are appointed as a magistrate, that's where injustice starts, because you want to do things according to the person who appointed you. And we are talking of meritocracy. If there is meritocracy in our society, whereby this senior barrister becomes even judges in our court system, yes, that's where you see justice and fairness and equity in our court system, and you see a kind of fairness too, where they'll be talking independently. So I think that our justice system is not being fair for the nation, for nation building and for good governance.
Well, if there's no other thing,
yeah, I
yes.
just wanted to point out also that
briefly.
Mr. Ajiekah Emmanuel and Ewule also cited cases of intimidation.
Okay.
Yes, where the fact that they have refused them justice hearings in the court, they have not stopped there. They went further to start intimidating them, and they are no more able to do their work in peace and serenity as it's supposed to be. Then one of the parties that was highly quoted here was the Procurator General, that has been silent throughout, and is the one almost maneuvering the whole case. So it is still a case that needs light to be shed on, and we must keep talking about it until Wazizi's corpse is brought to court.
Dear viewers, we shall be talking on this, and so we have so many other programs that will forthcome that will be talking on this. We'll just pray that at the end there will be justice. Although our colleague is dead, there's nothing we can do, but we'll just pray for justice. I want to say we'll go for a break, but before we go for that break, we shall be discussing, when we come back, we shall be discussing on the 6.5 billion francs which has been given, 6.5 billion francs which has been given by the state of Cameroon as subvention to schools in Cameroon. And so we shall be looking at this. And amidst this 6.5 billion francs, we realize that there are some schools, especially in the PCC and the Roman Catholic, where we find some chaos. You know, the CUIB, that is Catholic University Institute of the Diocese of Boya, is in serious chaos, given that there was a kind of shake-up. And so we hear new names have come up, and the old names are like not very satisfied. And we also got that the teachers of the PCC are on strike. So for how long? We shall be looking at this. Then we shall also be looking at the Anglophone crisis, the yesterday, the today, and the tomorrow, given that the parliament is ongoing. What do they have to say about this? What do you foresee? Will the parliament say something and do something? Whether they have been talking in the past or not, will they say something this time? What kind of government do you think we foresee in the future? And we shall be rounding up briefly with the Guardian Post Man of the Year, Prime Minister Dr. John Gute, and others who were decorated within the week. So when we come back after this jingle break, then we shall talk about that.
Manager for Connect You. Connect You is a social